So, first poet we're going to have going, and I'm not calling you up right now, by the way, poet. I'm just letting you know what the order is going to be. Our first poet of the evening is going to be Sandra. Yay! Going second, we've got Caleb.
Woo, go Caleb.
Third poet tonight is going to be Big Lair. So excited. Our fourth poet is going to be Hector. Our fifth poet will be Venus. Our sixth poet will be Muskan. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Our seventh poet will be Lorenz. And our eighth poet will be Manny. Okay, so the draw is finished. I'm going to turn this in a second over to the president of Poetry Center San Jose, Rob Pesek. Poets, before we get started tonight, want to let you know that while this is a competition, the points are not the point. The point is the poetry. Have fun, speak your truth, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Please give a round of applause for the president of Poetry Center San Jose, Rob Pesek.
Well, thank you, Scorp. Thank you for that kind introduction. Thank you, Mighty Mike McGee and Bill Cazzini for the background support. I want to thank, well, let's go to it. This is the last show of the San Jose Poetry Festival. Love your dimples, man. And well, San Jose Poetry Festival 2020 is presented by Poetry Center San Jose and is sponsored in part by Festival and Cultural Affairs grants from the city of San Jose, a grant from SV Creates in partnership with the County of Santa Clara and the California Arts Council, funding from Poets and Writers, and with support from Ann and Mark's Art Party and the Center for Literary Arts. We would also like to acknowledge and offer our deepest gratitude to our originally booked live venues for this festival: the Art Boutique, Books Inc., Caravan Lounge, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Library, Forager, History San Jose, Recycle Bookstore, and Works San Jose Art and Performance Center. And to all of our members who really make it happen, keep our lights on and keep our home over there at Edwin Markham House at History Park. For more information, visit pcsj.org. You can also become a member, pcsj.org/membership. We've got a survey. I will also, or somebody will put it in the chat again. Fill out the survey. Let us know how we can make this a better gig, and we appreciate that. We've got some upcoming events this month with a new event, actually, Anshu Jory's program, Bashar, which is essentially international. It's a kind of conversation through Zoom between artists, poets here in the US and India. So look on Facebook for information about that program. We've got Third Thursday with Neil Carroll coming up later this month. And then Sejura is going to be released soon. We have a reading upcoming at Works San Jose through Zoom, second Tuesday next month. Bill will be hosting that show. A lot of fine authors going to be presented there. So I'm going to give it now back to Scorp. Thank you to the Board of Poetry Center San Jose for making this happen. But really, you folks have to cook a meal. I don't know, send soup. I know that he loves soup. So send Mike McGee some soup, all right? And then send Bill Cazzini some soup. And then send Julia Canavesi a big stew pot, because she really worked a lot of great magic for us as well as part of the festival committee. Thank you to you, Mike, Bill, and Julia, and to all of you who have been showing up at these events. And Scorp, take it away.
Thank you, Rob. Round of applause for Rob. He really puts in so much work for Poetry Center San Jose. You just have no idea. So, good evening, beautiful humans. Welcome to San Jose Poetry Slam. If you've just joined the room, I am your hostess with the mostest, Scorpiana Xlent, and I will be your MC for the evening. I even cut my bangs special for y'all. Yay! Is there anybody here that's never been to a Poetry Slam before? This doesn't quite work the same way when you're in Zoom and can't see everybody's face at once. I think I see a hand up, but it might be a liar.
I've never even heard of a slam before.
Really?
Never. I don't know what a slam is.
For those of you who are not lying about having never been to a slam before, the Poetry Slam is a competition in which performed poetry is judged by 5 random members of the audience who have volunteered for the task. The rules, in case you weren't here 10 minutes ago before I did the draw, they're really simple. The poets that perform tonight must use their own work. They have a 3-minute time limit with a 10-second grace period. If they go over their time limit, we give them a time penalty, which we will talk about in a moment. They are not allowed to use any musical accompaniment or props. They will come up, perform a poem, and then the judges will score them anywhere from a 0 to a 10 using decimal points, kind of like when you watch figure skating in the Olympics, except without crotch shots. So the scorekeeper will then take the high score and the lowest score and throw them in the garbage, and take the 3 middle scores and add them all together to give the poet their score for the round. So the scorekeeper will deduct points for a time penalty. So judges, if you're paying attention to time and you see a poet's gone over the time limit, please, you don't penalize them. Don't take anything off their score for them going over. Let the timekeeper handle it. So while we're talking about time penalties, I'm going to teach you a San Jose tradition. We're rule breakers here. We don't like rules, but at the same time, we have to have them, because without rules, there's chaos. And it turns out chaos is frustrating. So we have to have a time penalty, but at the same time, we hate that we have to have a time penalty. We like to rebel against it. So if the scorekeeper, when giving me the poet's score, says they have a time penalty, we're going to tell the world how we feel about time penalties. I'm going to say, hey, how do we feel about time penalties? Or I may just count it down. I may go, okay, 1, 2, 3. And then we're all going to scream at the top of our lungs, fuck the time penalty. You can also use middle finger. which, by the way, since we are in Zoom and we're not in a live venue, we need to keep everybody on mute while a poet is actually performing. We just don't need the distraction of the background noise. We will unmute everybody as soon as the poet's finished, so the poet can hear you cheering and clapping, and you can react to the judge's score. And then when I'm calling the next poet up, we'll mute everybody again. So you really will be able to scream it out. If you don't like to cuss, you can say, "Booey the time penalty." I am the love child of a trucker and a sailor, so I'm forewarning you right now, I do have a potty mouth. I also need to make an announcement that it was brought to the attention of one of the poets here a couple months ago that part of the reason we are in shelter in place is, I don't know if you know this, but every time somebody sings Baby Shark, the hell mouth opens wider and more crap pulls out. And for those of you going, well, I don't understand what that has to do with the poetry slam. For those of you that have attended the slam when it was live, I am notorious when judges take too long to flash their scores, I sing Baby Shark. I am no longer going to sing Baby Shark because there's election in 2 months and I'm really fucking scared. So there will be no Baby Shark. So I'm probably going to cuss a little more than usual because I like Baby Shark. So that being said, judges, Mighty Mike McGee has given you the rundown on how to score a poem. So we don't need to go over that again. The one thing I will tell you is, judges, I beseech you to remain constant tonight. Like, stay true to how you're scoring. Score every poem that comes up by the exact same criteria. Don't judge somebody better because they have fabulous hair or, you know, you like their home decor. Like, keep everything really consistent, because while we're doing this via Zoom because of coronavirus, there is an infection that infests poetry slams called score creep. If you don't know if you don't know what score creep is basically, as the night goes on, particularly if judges are drinking, even if the poetry doesn't get better, the scores automatically get higher. So judges, kind of keep track of how you've scored previous poets, so you don't kind of randomly like score a poem you totally loved an 8 and then one you didn't like as much a 9. So just kind of stick with that. And so for those of you who were wondering why we do a draw when we have enough spots for all the poets, nobody wants to go first in poetry slam because we're afraid of score creep. So if poets had that their way, we'd be fist fighting for the 8th spot. So judges, also, don't let the audience influence you. Do not listen to poets if they're messaging you privately, offering to Venmo you money, or, you know, send you like Sephora cards, or if you really have a Sephora card, send it to our feature. Yesika loves Sephora. Don't bribe the judges. That's like an absolute no-no.
Also, I just want to chime in. Yes, I love Sephora cards, but also the host can read everything you say, even in private conversations. So we'd know if you cheated.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could read private conversations.
Yeah, you have access to like the whole chat, like even what I privately send to other people. So don't talk shit about your bosses when you're in a Zoom meeting, because they can see it.
Send all the messages to McGee now.
Y'all just got some wisdom. Like, you're welcome. So yeah, judges too, don't let the audience influence you, because if they don't like your score, they may boo, they may clap. Ignore them. Like, stay true to what you are. Like, you have a job. Like, do not be swayed by the audience. Audience, you just got one job tonight. Sway the damn judges. Let the judges know how you feel. You're going to be unmuted. If you love the score they gave a poet, let's say I am going to, can one of my co-hosts unmute everybody for a second? Because we're gonna do a little group thing.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes.
Thanks.
I have the ability to mute all, but for some reason I can't unmute. I don't. So, poets, you just heard the most soul-stirring poem of the evening. It's your absolute favorite, and a judge gives it a 10. How you gonna react?
Dr.
For
Seuss would be
10?
proud.
People scream.
Yeah. Are people
If y'all are booing a 10,
people are booing a 10? I've never heard that before.
10?
That's just jealousy.
What?
Apparently.
yeah, like, wow, that's like some haterade and shit. Yeah, okay, but why would you boo a judge for giving a 10 when it was your favorite poem of the evening? You
There's
want
too
to
low of a score.
You can't go any higher. We won't count it. It doesn't mean shit. Like, it doesn't mean anything. No. So let's say you just heard your absolute favorite poem of the evening and a judge scores it a 5. How you
That's
gonna
a
react?
Oh.
Hey, poetry!
Take a big, ultra big boo.
No, it's a, oh.
I'm unvenmoing you.
Yeah,
Good
Venmo.
job. I'm muting all you again. Oh, it's not working. Okay, so judges. The judges, when a poet's finished, I'm gonna say, judges, show me your scores. They're gonna type it into the chat room, so everybody's gonna be able to see it. So I don't have to. This is one of the few things I really super love about Zoom as opposed to a live venue, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I am extremely nearsighted, but I'm extremely vain. I don't like wearing my glasses for long periods of time. So I'm never wearing my glasses. Plus, okay, I'm too vain to get bifocal. So what happens, even if I wear my glasses, then my nearsighted glasses, I try to read like my notes, and I can't see that, and I need to be able to see that. So I'll be like, judges, I need you to write really big. And every single slam, you get a bunch of judges decide they want to sit their behinds in the back, and they write really skinny with the marker. And then when everyone's holding the scores up, I'm like, it takes me minutes to read the scores, and then everybody sees like how blind and vain I am. So typing scores into the chat box is awesome, because I can see scores and I don't have to wear my glasses. So the poets are gonna go in this order tonight. We have got Sandra, Caleb, Big Lair, Hector, Venus, Muskan, Lorenz, and Manny. So are we ready for a slam?
Woo, let's go, let's go, let's go!
Let's go.
There's so many parts about doing a slam live that do not translate to Zoom. Like, because we're muted, we don't have to worry about your background noise. So I don't have to tell you to turn off your phone, eat food, do what you gotta do. But I do have to tell you one feature we don't have in Zoom, we don't have rewind. So if you're not here, you're not paying attention, you're going to miss out on some darn good poetry tonight. And that poet is not going to repeat their poem for you. So when you're here, be present, pay attention. You could play your covet fashion game later, or on the break, or am I the only one that plays covet fashion? Okay, judge. So yeah, are we ready for a poetry slam?
Yes!
We're
Probably.
ready, because even via Zoom, the slam gods demand that right now blood must be spilled. That's right. Before we can kick off a poetry slam, we must make a sacrifice. Yay! Let's all head over to the virtual volcano. What we are going to do is we are going to bring a poet to the front screen. I can't even say come in to the stage. And they are going to perform a poem for you. They are technically not part of the competition. They cannot win tonight, but the judges are going to score them anyway. We call this our sacrificial poet or our calibration poet. Judges, pay attention. This is your chance to practice scoring before the real thing. You're going to be able to then take whatever you scored the sacrificial poet and kind of use it as a benchmark. So when other poets come up, did I like this poem better or less better than what I heard the sacrificial poet do? So that being said, coming to the stage, give it up for our sacrificial poet, Mighty Mike McGee.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah,
Such a surprise to everyone, including me.
Do that poem.
Can you all hear
Mighty.
me? Now hear me out. I licked the acidic pages of poets who showed it through rhyme and verse, psychedelic thoughts immersed so I could rehearse these words in my head. Fuck MTV. I want my Mighty Mike McGee. Hip hop is a language of the street. Anyone who speaks it well is an artist of the world because the world is covered in streets. We all live on streets. The street is where you go to find out what the world is up to. So I want to be hip hop. I want to be so in tune with the world that I am a language, that every line I write is almost an unimaginable concept, like becoming static. Because when you turn on the TV to a channel that isn't there, you hit static. Most of us change the channel to find silly situations to escape with, but static is art. Static is discovery, pure and simple. It started as energy. Did someone who wanted to hear it? So it became sound. Did someone who wanted to see it? So television was born to bring static to the masses. Nobody understands it. Some of us call it dead air, but it's alive, like you and me, maybe even more. Every day I discover just how alive I am. Every room I enter, there is a living woman who doesn't realize how much she loves me yet, and I will bet it is only because we haven't been introduced. I want to be hers because she doesn't. I've wanted to be hip hop ever since I wasn't. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be the scores of yours. I want to be rock and roll or rolling rock. I'm running out of time, so fuck the clock. Time paints us whatever color it sees fit. I don't want to be black or white or brown or yellow. I want to be consumed by shades of static. I want to be on TV, in between channels 2 and 3. I want to be chromatic static, comfortable white noise for all the B-girls and B-boys, lulling them to dream, reaching to scream. I know I'm not what I seem. I look like shit, but I taste like cream. I want to be that of which only a few people watch when they should be asleep. I want to be the place where seeds are sown so others can reap. I am static, romantic, electric camouflage. I am the dead silence before applause, the healing qualities of wound-wrapping gauze, a big bag of presents from Santa Claus. What's your cause? I'm not a first poet or a last poet, but in between. I want to be nomadic in static submissions, the rock and roll star at the end of all transmissions. People will watch me without knowing it, rocking you and rolling you without showing it. From time to time at 3 in the morning, as you solve the world's problems, I'll be there at the beginning and the end of your radio dial. If you want to see me on TV, unplug your fucking antenna. I will be static. You will all be hip hop and breath. I will write to the beat of your feet and read it in your death. I want my hip hop rhymes to be so good, they just don't rhyme anymore. But what's in store for the whore that is me, the one you might call Mighty Mike McGee? Fuck that. Call me Johnny Appledog, because the seeds I sow will grow to be trees of thought that walk to you when you call them. You see, beyond hip hop and the rigmarole of rock and roll, it's just me who used to be a little boy that couldn't, but wanted to give the world a little more of what it never really had, offering happy when it felt a little sad, a little bit of static in World Gone Mad. I am creating a destiny for the rest of me and a life I attest to be the best of me. Laugh, cause shit's funny. Cry, cause it fucking sucks. Say hello to the world before goodbye and gone. Turn on the TV when you know nothing's on, and think of me before you panic, cause when I leave this world, I'm coming back as
I love you. You ain't human.
Rainbow!
I love
You're
McGee.
the mighty, yes, the mics.
Again, say it
That's a
again.
high caliber. Caliber has.
Oops, I think I tried to unmute everybody and I think y'all got muted again. If y'all could, I don't know if you can unmute yourself.
Unmuted.
Okay, so judges, give me some scores here. Also, if you're not a judge, don't put any numbers in the chat room because it may confuse us a bit. So we got 1 score, 2 scores, 3, we got 4, we're waiting on 1 last judge.
I know. I gotta find myself here. Wait a minute. Oh,
So
here I am.
while our judge is finding themselves, there was a question in chat. Is it okay to use virtual backgrounds for the slam? As long as it's not a prop for your poem, like if your poem's about a day at the beach, don't have a beach background. If it's not a prop, that's fine. Okay, we got 5 scores. Not gonna read them from low to high. I'm just gonna read them in the order I got them. We got a 9.1,
Boo.
an 8.9,
Boo.
an 8.6,
Boo.
a 9.1,
Ah.
and an
Yay.
8.9.
Boo.
Clap for the poet, not the score. Kevin, what do we got?
Oh, Mike, we love you.
We have a
Thanks.
26.9.
Love you, Michael.
Oh,
6.9.
thanks.
Clap for
Good job,
the
Mike.
poet, not the
Great job.
score. So judges, now you've got the hang of it. Now we're gonna get down to the real deal. Poets, if I say you're on deck, that means you're going after the poet. I'm just calling to the stage. And of course, if I call you up, you're up. So on deck, we have Caleb, but coming to the stage, give it up for Sandra!
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 Woohoo! Yay!
Sandra, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay. This is my first time doing the slam. So, all right. No entiendo cómo algunos no entienden en ningún idioma lo que está pasando en Estados Unidos. No entiendo cómo no se entiende el idioma de los llantos de lágrimas, separados de sus padres en cajuelas, echándoles la culpa de penas y dolores económicos y sociales. Manera de crear falsa lealtad, ni del alemán de los judíos murmurando en desesperación a los pueblitos alrededor de sus infiernos, ni del inglés de los gritos de mis sobrinas tierras en las calles de San Francisco. A que no las lleven a la cárcel por el color de su cara y por su hermano midiendo 6 pies, que por su dulzura e inocencia su hermano no deja seguir. No entiendo cómo no entienden que cuando no entienden ninguno de estos idiomas chilla la violencia. No entiendo cómo no entiende la gente el idioma de mis lágrimas, contando vigil cada día de esas 2 semanas que vienen, a que no les peguen a mis sobrinas el virus literal por haber tenido que salir a la calle a combatir el virus social. I do not understand how some won't understand in any language what is going on in the United States. I do not understand how they won't understand the call of the tears, not the Spanish lament of children in cages, separated from their parents, blaming them for all economic and social ills. This time-tested way to create a false loyalty to leadership. not the German of the Jewish children whispering their desperation to the townspeople going about their lives outside their gates, nor the English of my fierce nieces on the streets of San Francisco, that they not be locked up for the color of their skin or for their brother who's standing 6'1" for his abundance of sweetness, who has been forced to stay home by a fearful mom. I do not understand how people do not understand the language of my tears, counting vigil each of these next 14 days, that they do not get the literal virus for having to have fought the social virus. I do not understand how they won't understand that when none of these languages are understood, violence howls. Okay, that's it.
Woo, Sandra!
Give it up, Sandra!
Yay!
Judges, you gotta give a good score.
Okay, judges.
Sandra.
Tell me something pretty that looks numbery. We got 1 score. We got 2. We got 3. We got 4. And we got 5. So we've got a 7.9, a 6.5, an 8.4, a 7.9, and a 7.9. And we put it all together.
Fuck the time
and what do
penalty.
we got? Do we have a score, Kevin?
23.7.
23.7. Clap for the poet, not the score.
Sandra!
First
Good
time.
job! Good job!
On deck, we've got Big Lair, but coming to the stage, give it up for Caleb!
Caleb!
Woo!
So tonight, my mind is soil, and this poem is a seed, words of a blossoming seed of hope. But in the past, when I performed on Zoom, people say they only want to hear the burial. They only want to feel the hate crime, remember his suicide. You see, dead bodies don't get love poems. They get death certificates, eulogies, and police reports. This is not a love poem. It can't be, because they become hashtags until the new hashtag, another decomposed poem stuck in my throat. I wouldn't really want to call this a poem. Identifying my love as a rotting corpse with maggots working their way out of metaphors, pulling all of these dead bodies out of me. I mean, let's be honest. In some spaces, it's only okay to be gay after the shooting, after the tragedy. Says, repeat the word pulse. Pretend like you were in the bathroom. Says, I believe pulse was the only time. You see, I don't have the luxury of hugging or kissing or existing in this poem, but I do have the gay privilege of tossing tunes off my tongue for your tens. Today, I'm tired of being a cemetery, buried under dirt just so you can feel comfortable. Sometimes I want to be painted in my truth, planted in my truth, rooted in my reality. Today, I want to be a garden, to grow in the times when his body was alive in my world instead of dead in my mouth, to grow in remembrance, to talk of the beauty, how he would smile. How could I not smile in return of the dancing? The heart's beating in syncopation, but scores say only dead things do well on this stage. No one wants to hear a poem about gay love, so they use our pulse and snap when someone takes it. Can't speak of the magic of dancing freely. Heartbeats in sync to the beats without referencing bodies left on the dance floor. And I'm tired of spitting a love poem that died in the last hate crime, the last gay agenda, the last no homo, the last faggot, the last lifestyle. So today, my heart will not be a headstone. There will be no dead bodies, no slurs. Instead, my mouth will be full of I love yous. We will embrace, we will joy. He will be alive, and tonight, on this stage, we will dance.
Yeah.
Hit it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Judges,
Thank you,
time
Caleb.
to make pretty numbers. We got 1 score, 2 scores. Okay, got it. It went blank for a second. We got a 8.3, an 8.5, a 9,
Yeah.
an 8.9,
Oh.
and a 6.9.
Oh, sad.
Together,
Come on, bro.
we got
25.7. 25.7.
25.7. Clap for the poet, not the score. So on deck, we've got Hector, but coming to the stage, give it up for Big Larry!
Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Alright, we got 3 scores, 4 and 5 scores. So we've got, am I saying anything?
Yeah, I wanna make some babies. Running out of time for waiting. Freedom and triumph, they weren't meant for me. Girls of my color find some.
Sorry, my chat screen's going a little wonky right now. Give me 2 seconds and see if I can.
The sexual
biggest of all
frustration of
layers.
Sigmund Freud. From tip to stern, he felt, fondled, foraged. He caressed, cuddled, cut. He poked, pulled, prodded, pled, and probed. He dug, drugged, dipped, drooled. He stroked, smoked, searched, smacked. He spanked, sucked, and used suction. He banged, bit, blew, boiled. He nudged, noodled, and nabbed. He yanked, yearned, and yelled. He grabbed, grasped, grabbed. He tugged, teased, tantalized. He whacked, walloped, and whined. He injected, induced, encouraged. He jacked, jerked, jabbed, jostled, and he licked, lubed, and lollipop. Yet no matter what he did, it just wouldn't come up. The harder he tried, the more it seemed to tortoise and hide away. So after a summer internship ended, Sigmund still couldn't tell you where babies came from. Oh wait, what I said was some kind of slip. What I meant to say was after dissecting bucket after bucket of eels, day after day all summer long, Sigmund had not found where baby eels came from. What young Freud did not know was the reason he could not find the eels' nads, but quite literally they had yet to grow a pair. Eels are truly non-sexual until after they've left the rivers and streams to return to the Sargasso Sea to mate and die.
Give it up for Big
Yeah.
Larry! Judges. Let's get some numbers. We got 3 scores. Waiting on 2 more. The suspense. Okay, so we've got a 7, we've got a 8, we've got a 6.7, we've got a 9.2, and we got a 5.5. And put it all together, and what do we got?
21.7.
21.7. Clap for the poet, not the score.
Yeah, Larry.
I was actually waiting for one of y'all to jump in with bibbity bobbity boo. Obviously y'all weren't raised on Disney like I was. Okay. So on deck we have Venus, but coming to the stage, give it up for Hector.
Woo, Hector!
Yeah.
The dog days are over.
Go in, poet.
I witnessed news falling dead weight into my heart-soiled palms. 38-year-old man arrested in connection with hidden cameras at UCSC, November 2019. electronic eyes hidden in co-ed farm apprenticeship showers. I'm reminded why my 15-year-old sister must carry a taser and pepper spray with her attending San Francisco art school. She's a bold, kaleidoscopic, cunning fox in a city of hungry wolves, with human hands for paws, armored with Zeus's electric pink instrument and infernoed aerosols of fiery crimson liquid pepper. And by pepper, I mean vigor and blemish. And by pepper, I mean assail and bombardment, and by that I mean my sister will always have to be more dexterous fox than cannibal wolf, carnivorous in all ways. She lives in the blemished sister's grim fairy tale. I clean a toilet seat peppered in dark yellow piss and imagine the jerk's eyes thinking someone else will appreciate they don't have to worry about turning bathrooms into a more colorful place to shit. And by shit I mean discharging all the undigested patriarch in me to leave me a cleansed body, a filtered cell, and pestled mortar. And by shit I mean the nonsense of this piss amber confetti bullshit. And by shit I mean shit. And by shit I mean the man's soul who made clothless, consentless girls the stars of his sickening show. And by pepper I mean pepper roots grown in my gardening job, rooted to the farming women and how they remind me of cunning foxes, rooted in how they're forced to be shapeshifter, the nicknamed sinful witches, rooted in rotted zombie roots of macho bullshit, tainting this world's stagnating veins. And by shit I mean even when I smell toxic masculine shit, I don't witness the entire blood-curdling panorama of misogyny, cause other men baptized me in pistols of machismo and said, Hector, I now baptize you in the name of the male preacher, the hot hollow male son, and the male Holy Spirit, for the forgiveness of your boys will be boys' sins, and the unwarranted gift of the Holy Spirit crucified my every shape-shifting limb to worship a dead macho god before I revive my divinity of hold the fuck up, didn't know that was never sacrilege, was never shit. And by shit I mean even when I spit into this piss pool, the body of this torrent piss ocean is still unblemished carnal wolf. And by shit I mean I should not silence my holding hungered wolves accountable. Thank you.
Wow.
Whoa.
Ready for that
Shit.
shit?
One was ready for that shit.
Woo.
One was ready for that fucking poem.
Wow.
Judges, tell us how you feel.
Fuck up, yo.
We got 1 score, 2 scores.
Let's just leave the spotlight on him forever.
Damn straight.
Got 1, 2.
Well, fuck up judging now.
So we've got a 9. We got a 9.2, a 9.2,
Yeah.
an 8.5, and a 9.4.
Yeah.
So put it all together, and what do you got?
9.4.
Fucking hey, that was fire.
27.4.
2.4.
Okay.
Not for the poet, not the score.
Oh.
So on deck, we have Muskan, but coming to the stage, give it up for Venus!
Woo, Venus!
Yeah. So got it.
A poetic soldier waits in line for the word. Forward. Pablo speaks of passion in his formal address. He speaks of the sweet waste of America and his detest of Chile's chaotic civil war and the constant state of unrest. A poetic soldier is in step, leading with his left, searching for a way to stoically step out of line. But his truth, it still marches on. And the voice of the people never left his mind. He is left with an aftertaste, and you can see a pinch of love left in his hard face, so they stampede his home. In a whirlwind of ripened rage, seeking to tear and burn each word left, on the page. Some Nobel peaceful march, this is. Ready, halt. Love is what it is. The calming stream that warms us with rippling waves, drenching dry feet and healing cracked hands, giving hope to every woman, to every man. May this stream flow to distant shores. May it quench the center of the earth's core, from every dying house, from every dying cell and pore. You may find me in exile with the next oust if they say, democracy don't live here no more. You may find me in exile because I purify the open soul when they say, freedom, it don't live here no more. A poetic soldier, prized with a red heart waits, as clones seek to puncture, ransack, and kill. The spirit lives on as they drill the mind, in an effort to keep the flock bleeding in battle, in an effort to keep the flock blind, an ambassador to their clear conscience, with belted brass books that shine. We are the people's passion. A poetic soldier is a dictator's deadliest assassin. Even in death, Pablo Neruda, you are more than a metaphor or a rhythmic line. You keep giving hope to the homeless. You keep giving sight to the blind. Forward, march.
Dang, Venus.
Holy
Dang, Venus.
I love you guys. And gals. And whole persons.
Judges, show me that numerical artwork you do so well. We got 3 scores up. Waiting on 2 more. We got, no, that was a psych. Yes, 4 scores. Start reading them off. We got an 8.6, an 8.1. We got a 9, an 8.5, and a 9.1.
What?
So we're gonna
Venus.
hold those together and mix it all up. And what do we got, Kevin?
26.1.
We got a 26.1. Clap for the poet, not the score.
Woo, Venus.
So on deck, we have Lorenz, but coming to the stage, give it up for Muskan!
Woo!
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Give it up for Muskan! Did we lose Muskan?
I'm looking for her. I don't see her.
I think she
Muskan-
left the room.
Muskan, if you're here, unmute yourself. No, she's not in the room.
Okay, we lost a poet. So on deck, we have Manny, but coming to the stage, give it up for Lorenz!
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Lorenz.
That's my dude.
Loneliness staggers towards my door, turns the knob only to find it locked. They chuckle, peep through the window, sees me and knocks. I don't answer. They shake their head, laugh to themselves, dangles keys as they make eye contact with me through that glass pane, slips their key in only to find it will not turn. They do this a couple of times until it sinks in that I changed the lock. They smirk in amusement. They gesture for me to open. I only stare at them. Their eyes roll up as they take a deep breath, presses their face against that glass, wanting me to let them in. I flip them a middle finger. Thought they'd left, but they come back, start shouting outside about what we've been through. Told me how they used to take care of me. Told me how they helped me get through shit. Told me how they is the only one who understands me. Kicks my door, trying to make their way in. Slams their body against that door. Bangs their clenched fist over and over again. You'll be a fucking mess. You'll want me back, fucker. You always do. I watched them leave. Delete their number despite it is implanted in my head. I stare at the emptiness in my home. That loneliness knew how to fill up. I walk in one of the bare rooms, sat in the middle, and told that space it was not empty, but ready to be filled with peace, ready to be filled with hope, ready to be filled with a self-love I once was ashamed and thought I was undeserving to have. I felt myself missing loneliness, but reminded myself I miss myself so much more.
Love you lots.
Give it up for Loren.
Love it.
Yes. Got one judge. Judges are getting fast. I like that.
Oh.
We've got an 8.4, an 8.6, a 7.9, a 9.3, and an 8.8.
Yes.
Good job, judges. You guys, you folks have like not taken like 20 minutes to throw up scores. I love y'all for that. I may just have to have all of you come back every month and judge.
That's
Okay, what do we got when we put it all together?
a 25.8.
25.8.
Yeah, Lorenz!
Clap for the poet, not the score. On deck, we have our fabulous feature, but coming to the stage, give it up for Manny!
Way back in February, 7 months now, I wouldn't have been caught dead wearing a mask. Isolate myself from the world. We're all gonna fucking die. Toilet paper, meat, bread shortage. I bought an expensive bottle of liquor. Hunker down meant buy big bottles of booze, Costco style. I didn't know how long I had. I was told 1 in 2 will get it, 1 in 10 will die. My niece, her friend's mom passed, and my stepfather's brother and sister fought it off hard. I don't know anything. To this day, I still don't know. My aunt that I saw her 6 feet away. I was masked, but we were both masked. She tested positive the next day. I swore I had COVID for at least 3 hours. Internally, I was just, dude, I know I have it. I'm gonna die. Yet the next day, she tested negative. As of right now, if I have flu or cold-like symptoms, or I'm having issues breathing, like in air sickness, high altitude type symptoms, I don't know what that means. I'm assuming I have COVID. But until then, happy as fuck. 2020, yeah!
Give it up for Manny.
Ooh, Manny. Nice job.
Manny.
Judges. What do we got?
Hesitation.
We got hesitation. I see 1 score, 2 scores. Waiting. 3 Okay, we got a 8.7, a 6.7, a 7.8, a 5.6, and a 5.6. So we're gonna put those all together. And what do we got, Kevin?
20.1.
20.1. Clap for the poet, not the score. So that's all the poets for round 1. In just a moment, I'm gonna bring up our feature to give you a little teaser poem before we go take a 10-minute break. Because I know some of y'all gotta use the restroom and go get dessert and stuff. Before I do that though, allow me for a second to bring up Mighty Mike McGee.
Hey folks, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. One, I wanted to thank you all for being here, and also I wanted to because we're in Zoom, it's kind of hard to, you can't really look around the room and really see who's there. And I just wanted to point out a number of folks in the room who really, in my world, are celebrities, and I feel like they should be honored and pointed out and at least clapped for. You know, we have from the Center for Literary Arts, Selena Anderson is in the room. She's the head of the Center for Literary Arts on campus at San Jose State University, and she is a remarkable badass. Also, we have the current Santa Clara County Poet Laureate, Janice Lobo-Sapigao, in the room. We also have Santa Clara County Poet Laureate Emeritus, Arlene Biala, in the room. And 30 years ago this year, right here in the Bay Area, the very first National Poetry Slam was held right here in the Bay Area. And the first person ever to win the Indie Championship was Patricia Smith. She went on to win 3 more of them, holding the record for the most wins ever for the Indies. And she is in the room tonight as well. Can we all give all of them a huge round of applause for joining us this evening and being a part of this event tonight? This is the last event for the San Jose Poetry Festival, and it has been a lot of work, and it has been incredible, and you've all made it incredible. You've all really made it so such a breeze to put together. And I want to thank you. And I know that Poetry Center San Jose, I know that Bill, I know that Rob Pesich, and I know that Julia Canavesi all want to thank you as well. And they will throughout the night. But it is an honor to have everyone in this room. And I'm so glad to be here. And I'm so glad to see all of you. I'm going to shut up now, but I love you all. And I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so y'all ready for just a little tasty taste of our fabulous feature? I'm gonna read off the bio really quick for you in case you don't already know who she is. Yesika Salgado is a Los Angeles-based Salvadoran poet who writes about her family, her culture, her city, and her fat brown body. She has shared her work in venues and campuses throughout the country. Salgado is a 2017 and 2018 National Poetry Slam finalist. Her work has been featured in the Los Angeles Times, Teen Vogue, Univision, Vibe Magazine, Huffington Post, CNN, NPR, TEDx, and many other digital platforms. She's an internationally recognized body positive activist and the writer of the monthly column Suelta, Remezcla. You know I had to fuck that shit up, girl.
Oh.
Don't make fun of me for it. It's okay. Yesika is the author of the bestsellers Corazón, Tesoro, and Hermosa, published with Not a Cult. Put your hands together and give it up for Yesika Salgado.
Hello, hello.
I love you.
It is. I love all of you. San Jose is one of my favorite cities to ever stop to while I'm on tour. I'm sorry, I have a 6-month-old puppy who we're working on his Zoom training. So if he starts barking, it's a group piece. Yeah, so I mean, I have a story about Scorp that I'm going to share later about staying at her house and during one of my trips. It's one of my favorite stories to share. But I can't believe like the legend Patricia Smith is here, and I saw her read at the Getty Museum a few years ago when I was still very much a baby at performing and just being in the spoken word world. And I remember I didn't know who much of her the legend that she was at the time, and she read this poem that pretty much like changed like my life in that one day. So it's an honor for her to share space with her. Anyway, so I'm going to read a poem and then we're going to take a break and then I'm going to read more poems, I guess, right? I'm going to be reading, I had a different set, but I decided I'm going to be reading all my poems from my book, Hermosa, who yesterday was awarded an award. It is it won the Poetry Award for the 2020 International Latino Book Awards. And another person that I could say has won this award in the past has been Pablo Neruda. So I'm just like, oh, we're homies now. So me and Pablo Neruda are best friends now in our spirits. And so, you know what I'm gonna do when that's not in here? All of my poems are about love. All of my poems are about some boy. All of my poems are about my fat. All of my poems are about my parents, my Spanish, my El Salvador, my English, my Los Angeles, my pre-gentrification Silver Lake, my Echo Park before the food trucks and yoga parties, my belly swinging by the vegan restaurants, my double chin laughing in overpriced coffee shops, my minimum wage paycheck, my staying too long in too many places, my poor taste in men, my online dating, my hope, my bad dates, my ex-boyfriend and his girlfriend who live next door, the drama, my niece and her laughter, my niece and all of her questions, my niece and her little hands pressed against my face, my niece with her hands wet with the tears on my face, my depression, my secret sadness, my ocean always asking for my body, my anxiety whispering my name at the nape of my neck, my hands and how they listened and slammed against my body and how no one ever saw the bruises because no one ever saw my body. All of my poems are about my brown girl body, my everyone has an opinion about this body, my I have to fight to love it every fucking day body, my big, fat, beautiful body, my red lipstick smile, my curly Salvadoran hair, my mommy's hair, and my hair, oh my mommy, my papi, my drunk and angry papi, my papi yelling out my name in the middle of the night, my papi and his belt against my skin, my papi's belt and how it whistled in the air before finding my skin, my long nights counting his snores, my grieving him 10 years before he died, my watching him die, my exhale when he died, my life after he died, my good life after he died, my guilt, my grief, my heart. All of my poems are about my parents, my hard-working migrant parents, my hardly any English parents, my Saturday afternoon listening to Juan Gabriel parents, my early Sunday morning mass parents, my sisters and I, and our prettiest dresses. Oh, my sisters, my first friends, my first saviors, my first lesson in getting the fuck over it. My singing at the top of the lungs until mommy yells, shut the hell up, this isn't a musical. My no one gets me like you do, sisters. You see, all of my poems are about love. The times that it came in floods, the years that I forgot what it was. All of my poems are collection plates. I fill and fill and fill and fill and fill, and I have yet to come up empty, and I don't think I ever will. Thank God. Oh, thank God for my poems, for how they always find me, for this heart that believes them, and these hands that always receive them. Thank you so much, y'all.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
Give it up. Y'all aren't clapping loud enough. Unmute yourself. Don't make your house and unmute your computer.
We love you.
Loud.
Y'all are great. Thank you so much.
Okay, folks, we are going to take a 10-minute break. How many minutes?
Right on cue.
10, not 11, not 15. We're going to take a 10-minute break. My laptop clock says 8:27. We are going to kick off the rest of the feature at 8:37. I will see you all then. Welcome back. I hope everybody had a really good break. Y'all got a chance to socialize and get to know each other better. So when I did the teaser, I read the bio. So before I bring her back up, I'll get a little personal. So Yesika knows a lot of my dirty little secrets. And this is how I know she's a good friend, because she knows like all the dirty on like everybody I dated before I met my husband. Like she knew me during my hoe year. And has stayed silent, and that is true friendship.
We need to talk, Yesika. We need to talk.
I can also tell you too, like how you know when you have a good friend. Somebody said to me one time, we were at a performance, and there's a story she tells about me, and it's a funny story. But somebody said to me after one of the shows, when they found out I was the one, they were like, "Ooh, aren't you embarrassed she told the story?" And I was like, no, she knows me well enough. Like, she made me a part of the show. Like, that made my night. So anytime she performs like in the Bay Area and I'm there, like, she'll give me that little spotlight, because that's love. So now that I've told my little personal story, give it up for Yesika.
Thank you.
Yesika.
Thank you.
Yeah.
True friendship is when you know that your friend is a ham, and you gotta give her those moments and my dog agrees. So hopefully by the time I'm done telling the anecdote, he's done barking. He's just on high alert because my mom's gone for the weekend and he's not used to not having grandma in the house. So he thinks every noise is her getting dropped off. So I'm sorry if I have a background accompaniment of a puppy barking. But so the story of Scorp and I happened where it was so testament that I really love Scorp is that I stayed in her home. I don't like sleeping in other people's homes and beds. My mom just, I don't know, my mom's weird and she raised me that way. And so whenever I do tour, also I live with my family. So when I tour is when I get to be like Sex in the City, you know, like a traveling writer in her hotel room and whatever. Even if I'm not hoeing that night, like I still like to have my own space. But she was like, come and stay. We don't mind. We'll put you up. We have the bunk bed. So I came and I stayed over and it was fine. And she's like, I'm going to cook for you. She was going to make empanadas. We ran out of time. So she just made the meat and she made white rice. And she's like, I'll heat up the tortillas. Cool, right? I should have already been like, white people heating up tortillas. But you know, They have family from Costa Rica, so I figured maybe they've been educated already. And so then I saw the stove. I don't know if I saw a skillet or not, but then I saw the tortillas and I was like, that's fine. And then I realized that the tortillas had been microwaved. And that is an offense to me and my people. So I made a joke about it on Twitter that ended up going viral. And people were extremely upset that I said, when you microwave tortillas, it's an insult to me and my ancestors. And then this one woman was just like, so fuck my mom, right? Who comes home from being on her feet on 10 days and for 10 hours and she has to feed 6 mouths. I'm like, look, it's still raw dough. It's warmed up raw dough. And it's like, if you're okay with eating that, that's your thing. But we know that we have to cook them. And so why aren't you eating at the tortillas for your mom? Anyway, so that's the story. And when I first told the story, I didn't tag Scorp because I didn't want it to be a thing online. But then in person, I've always said that it's her. Yeah, online it's too many trolls or whatever. But that's my Scorpiana story. And I mean, I have many other stories. But also, I've known Scorp since 2004. Like 16 years, and she knew me. And I always say that Scorp knew me and loved me and held me to the true. I was a catfish when we met her. I was using other people's pictures, and I was on a poetry forum sharing my name under as Yesika Star. And I was using somebody else's pictures, and then it was a whole scandal. And Scorp was upset. We didn't talk for like a year or two, but it was because she just wanted better for me, and she was holding me accountable for my actions and just wanted me to like grow. And when she saw that I had done the growth that needed to be done, like she just welcomed me back like without a hiccup. And we've been friends. Like we've always been friends. Even when we weren't talking, we were friends. Because I remember she went through something really upsetting, and I reached out to her and all that. And then, but long story short, she's my San Jose bestie. And I just don't let her heat up my tortillas now. So it's so weird to tell stories and not be able to hear your reactions, but I love y'all. You can always unmute yourself to interject whatever you want. I don't care. So Hermosa is the third book in a trilogy. Her husband says she doesn't heat up his either. Hermosa is the third book in my trilogy of books. My first book is Corazón, second book Tesoro, and Hermosa is the last one, all published through Not a Cult. And yes, Mango, this is how I buy you everything. So, the joys of Zoom. I don't get to leave my house and like run away from this. Okay. He's a pandemic puppy. Like he was born in the pandemic and we're bored, so we decided to get a dog, and I didn't think it all the way through. So sometimes I want to get a refund. Okay. Thank you, Jules. All right. A beginning. I was born, and sometimes I want that to be all the story there is to tell. I was born and there was a parade or a fiesta, and mommy came home in a gown, and I was the corsage on her wrist. Papi chugged down a beer, stuck 2 fingers in his mouth, and whistled. My tias laughed, tios drank. The cousins, old enough to hold me, passed me along, one pair of hands to the next. She's here, she's here. The niña is here. If only that were it. But the story had just begun. Eden. The first time I smoked weed was in the name of love. Ricardo was a cholito with eyelashes that curled on their own, and I was down to do anything for him. It was third period when we both leaned our heads over an apple-turned pipe. He talked me through the inhale. I looked up into his eyes and almost forgot to exhale. We hid in the baseball field until the bell rang. When we walked to class, I did not know if I was high or if I was floating or if maybe it was both. When we got to algebra class, Ricardo leaned in, and through the fog, I heard him say, "Hook me up with your homegirl." And I was back on earth in my fat girl body again. The apple should have given it away. This poem is called Papi in 5 parts, and there's a little story that I tell about this piece whenever I share it, because I had written, it was a poem I had been trying to write for many years, and finally I got it down exactly the way that I had envisioned it and felt it, and what the poem that I was searching for. There's a saying that Andrea Gibson says, and it's like, I've written this poem before, but always through a window, never through an open door. And this poem came to me through the open door. And I wrote it, and when sitting, I was sobbing. It was this whole thing. And I read it at the Poetry Lounge, my home venue in LA. And when I read it out loud, I knew that I wasn't ready to share this with people. It was still too raw for me. So I came home and I put it away, and I didn't read it for a long time, for like a couple of years. And when I was working on a project, I started looking for it, and I couldn't find it. It wasn't in any of my files. And I mentioned this to a friend who was relatively new. I think we had only been friends for like a few months by then. But she had been frequenting the Poetry Lounge. And so I told her about it, and she's like, oh, I remember the poem. And she's like, in fact, I don't even know why, but I recorded the voice clip for it, right? Like, I turned on the voice recorder right before you even opened your mouth. And so I have the audio of it. So then she sent me the voice note, and I was able to rewrite the poem from my own voice. And so this poem came back for me. And when I was finishing my trilogy, it wasn't in either one of my first 2 books. And I knew that it had to be in this one, because it was a poem that came back and that was calling my name. So this is called Papi in 5 parts. The first one is a quiet Sunday afternoon. I find myself holding his hand so often, there is no need for me to tell him I love him. At dinner, I prefer to eat from his plate instead of mine, and he never stops me. He's tender, so tender. I pretend to fall asleep with my head on his chest just to hear him breathing, as if I were an appendage of his body, as if I were a vital organ, as if this were the reason I was made. He often calls me his heart, and I never doubted it. I know the second one has come home by the slam of the door. It is 3 a.m. and every light is on. His music is loud and angry like him. When I ask him what's the matter, beg him to go to bed, he answers in sounds like a hand slapped to a face, or a body slammed to a wall, or glass broken to a cheek. And I try not to cry because my tears are like blood to a shark, and he is a shark in the deepest part of the night. My name is caught in his jaws. There is so much yelling. I wonder why the police haven't been called. So much anger. I fear the sun won't rise in time to save either one of us. The third one is full of jokes that sound like insults. His humor is cheap and easy like that vodka he likes. The fourth one never remembers how much he's hurt me. When we bump into each other in the kitchen the next morning, he won't look me in the eye. His apologies come as a murmured, I love you, as a hurried kiss to a forehead before he rushes off to work. I resent him, sometimes even hate him. It is so difficult to love him, but if I don't, who else will? Who else will forgive him? Who else will save him? Who else will make him want to change? The fifth one. Oh, the fifth one I waited for every single day of my life. Every time I knelt in a church pew, or I blew out a birthday candle, I begged God to send him to me soon. And when he finally did, when God finally sent me a sober father, he was so broken, so brittle, so apologetic. I had no choice but to forget everything that had ever come before him. And the day he left me, as a slight switch of a foot, as a hand I couldn't get myself to release. I remembered the first one, how as a little girl, I used to pretend to fall asleep with my head on my father's chest just to hear him breathing, as if I were an appendage of his body, as if I were a vital organ, as if this were the reason I was made. He often called me his heart, as if he had never become anyone else, who often called me his heart and never Let me doubt it. Thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm gonna just hit you with a double whammy heart. I'm gonna hit you with a double whammy intense poems, and then we'll move on to something a little less heart-wrenching. This is called The Almost Death. Did I tell you about the time I was dying? About my uterus that couldn't stop bleeding, the doctors blaming my fatness and me agreeing? Did I tell you about the times that I couldn't get dressed because I was more crime scene than anything? About this bloody curse, the stains on couches, showers, underwear, bus seats, the black paste of my sex, my vulva, a wound that wouldn't heal. I almost lost myself once, ounce by ounce, once. I ended up in an emergency room and the doctors couldn't understand how I let it go that long, how I didn't think anything was wrong. They found a growth, hemorrhaging. I never saw it, but I imagine it looked like an urn, like the thing that holds my father's ashes, the last place I ever saw him. The doctors paraded in and out, reaching between my legs, dozens of men pulling my lips apart and shaking their heads. And I've been here before, I thought. On my back, on a bed, a man disappointed. And my mother called the relatives and told them that I was sick, referred to my vagina as down there, the beast that can't be named, the sin that must be whispered, a red river down my legs, a soiled gown, a dirty secret. And I stopped dying then. It took a while. First came a blood transfusion, then clamps clawing open my cervix, me strapped to a bed, screaming in pain, thinking of women who endure this, and it isn't to keep them alive, but instead to make them a little more dead. How lucky I was. My body more forgiving. It started talking to me, asking why I was so afraid of her. Why didn't I trust us? Hadn't we buried my father a year before and made it out intact? Hadn't we put down our fists and given up the bruises? Hadn't death asked us over and over again if we were sure we wanted to stay? Hadn't we said yes every time? Didn't it try to take us anyway? And didn't we stay alive? Aren't we alive? My body said alive. Yesika, listen to me. Are you not alive? And so I started renaming parts of myself, calling them what they needed to be called. My sex, my pussy, my jewel, my sweet fruit, my loved orchid, my come here lover. Come celebrate that I am alive, that I once almost wasn't. Come taste what staying is like. Thank you. Let's switch over to a poem called Punchline. Okay. Oh, this book was called Sacrilegious. Like somebody left a review for me on somewhere and they were like, oh, this poem is sacrilegious. Like Yesika needs to find God. So hopefully we, I don't know, whatever. So this is called Punchline. I ate his ass because I loved him. I gave myself lockjaw sucking dick. I swallowed the bitter cum. I nodded when he asked whatever it is that he asked. I let him eat my pussy all wrong. I moaned in the name of romance. I arched my back. I pulled him in for a kiss. I knew his heart was in the right place. Later, I laughed with my homegirls. I don't know exactly what the joke was. His awful, awful, awful sex. Or me neglecting my body and calling it love.
Oh my literal lord.
Thank you.
Sounds like God to me.
Wow. Yeah, that's
You know, I love reading that. I was booked for this thing that was a very literary event, very color deficient. And so then I was just like, what do I want to read? And then I was just like, oh, I'm going to talk about fucking eating ass. That's always the best thing that will get folks riled up. And then a couple walked up and walked out. And I was just like, bye. I know you're not gonna have fun because you don't eat ass. Blood right. I used to, you could only pity these people, right? Oh shoot. Okay, I only have 5 minutes left. Let me think this through. Okay.
No one's tripping.
Okay.
Put the time penalty.
I also want to respect people's times. I'll go 5 minutes over my time. We'll do that, and then that's all I'm gonna do. I don't like. Okay, bye. I'm doing my poems. I used to sell knives door to door. I worked at a parking garage booth. I was a salesperson in a paper goods store. I developed 30-minute film. I called folks about refinancing their homes. I nannied a pair of twins. I got fired because I used to call the party line, but that's a different story. I became the head cashier at another drugstore. I would take the bus to each job, all of them out west in Santa Monica or Palisades or Westwood. I used to commute about 3 to 4 hours every day. I know this city the way that I know heartache. I could taste it without giving it words. I mourned my father on the 704. I got my test results about my infertility on the 302. I wrote the first poem in my first book on the 201. I broke up with plenty of boyfriends over the phone at bus stops. I made my way out to the beach and contemplated walking out into the water, but I always came back on the last bus. I counted the purple trees on my block and I kissed my mother's cheek goodnight. Gentrification tried to tell me that what once loved me can no longer love me back. And I laughed. You can't take what's already in my blood. Thank you. So I was as I was writing this book, a lot of things were happening. Nipsey was murdered. I was in the midst of the 10th breakup with the same person, and I was completely heartbroken. It was all these. I wasn't heartbroken. I was angry because they were cheating. But shit happens, and so like looking back and a lot of the stuff, like I'm still so proud of the fact that I didn't wallow in this book, the way that many of us writers tend to be like, oh, everything is so awful, right? And it came from a more of a place like, well, you'll hear the poems. When you come checking on me, this is called Boomerang. When you come checking on me, know that I haven't fallen into the fire. I picked myself up and said I could still do it without him. When I heard you had a new girlfriend, I didn't imagine her body, and I didn't wish my own away. Instead, I worked, I planned, I opened a savings account, I wrote, I smoked on cold nights and drank on good nights. I cut off 12 inches of my hair, took pictures, booked a cruise, flew to San Francisco, laid in a bed with white sheets, called men I stopped calling when I loved you, bought jewelry, took myself to dinner, to the movies alone, a bar alone, went to concerts with friends, and I stood close to the stage, sang loud with my face to the sky, my skin as soft as you left it. When you come checking on me, when your palms itch at the sound of my name, know that I haven't fallen into the fire, baby. Instead, I became it. Marathon. I touched the scar. I asked him how it found him, and he said a gunshot. I said nothing. We made love, and he walked to the bathroom. Small crater on his side told me to go back home to my gentrification, my fenced garden, my quiet streets. A long time ago, bullets often sent me home. Police flashlights into houses, cars, eyes of boys I loved, but I got lucky. We lost the block. It got safe. It got better. Everyone moved away in pickups or in handcuffs. They left. My lover is no longer my lover. He finds his way to my street, drunk and determined. come outside, and I don't know what I fear more. What happens when I step outside? What happens if I stay inside? It isn't safe for us to be human here. A brown woman and a black man, we argue beneath a street lamp, and I could feel the whiteness panting against the windows. Nipsey is killed, and I text my ex-boyfriend, I love you, please be safe. And my block is quiet, so fucking quiet. A different ending. Let's say it worked. You became boyfriend, that became husband, and I had the babies and named them after planets. I don't know why I wanted to name my kids after planets. I was going through a weird phase. I wanted to have a kid named Jupiter and another kid named Pluto. And then I realized if I have a kid named Pluto, it's going to be the Disney dog, not the planet. It's just a lot. Okay. I had the babies and named them after planets, and we built a house out of straw. You kept your bottles. I kept everything else. We tied our relationship out in the yard with our parents. 2 angry dogs that bark day and night. You still hold me like I can break, and I still cry during sex. But it's love, you and I. We are a mess, you and I. Let's say it worked. We got the life that I planned for us. You work all day. I don't write anymore. I don't travel. I raise the kids. I keep my anger. You keep your drinking. The dogs bark so loud I can't hear you. The dogs bark so loud we stop kissing. The dogs bark so loud you start looking like my father, and I leave just like your mother. Let's say it worked. We kept each other, but along the way, we ruined everything else. I think it's okay. If I never forget you, if you are forever a puncture in my lungs, if I go around wheezing your name like a dusty accordion, I think it's okay. I could survive like this. Someone will ask about my greatest love, and I will squeeze out a song. I tell them I don't know what became of you, but I remember your hands on my skin, and that is enough. Together we learned that love is not peace. I let you go. I can live like this. We did not work out, and that's fine. The years will take care of the ache. What we learned about each other is still alive. Go, be happy, and come tell me about it someday. And here's my sacrilegious poem. It's this poem, and then it's my last poem, and it was an honor to be your feature today. Thank you so much. And for letting me celebrate Hermosa, my little baby that could. She turned a year old too this week. So not only is she turning a year old, she's like a boss bitch getting awards and shit. I think of my books as like actual humans, like they're my 3 dragons, the only children I will ever have. Yeah, I watched too much Game of Thrones. This is a church I built. There is no God here. I burned all of the Bibles and hymns. All the statues lie on their backs. I am dressed in the lace kept for altars. In this temple, there is no woman weeping at a man's feet. The apostles were sent off and asked not to return. The wine remains. It is still blood. I offer it with manicured hands. Religion keeps folks warm at night, and my lovers know the creed of my bedroom. Sweet sacrament of thighs and mouth, there is only one choir, only one song, moans, venerating my blessed flesh. And the last poem is called Diaspora Writes to Her New Home. And thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I love, love, love so many. Lux is in the chat room. So much love to Lux and Tshaka and Scorp and Robert and Mike and so many other faces that I know. And I can't wait until next year when we can be together again. And a quick, I know I said I wasn't going to take up that much time, but just really, really quick thing. Shout out to Mike and Scorp, the last time I was in San Jose was some shit went down, and I was there for a show, and it was like awful. Like it didn't happen. It got canceled. There was like a whole problematic thing. I was getting dragged on the internet, and within hours, Mike found me a venue, and we put up the announcement that we were having an event in San Jose, and it was full to capacity. And I sold every single book I had in my suitcase, and I was able to make what I had spent on my flight and my hotel, and even more so. But even then, I was able to realize that I had community somewhere outside of Los Angeles, which every time something like that happens is always such a, like, you don't realize how far your poetry goes. And this is for everybody. Keep sharing your work in any way that you can, because you don't know who's reading, and you don't know who's going to show up for you the day that you need it. It's going to be a bunch of strangers that have been in love with your heart for years. And you don't even know. You don't even know that you got homies all over the place. Okay. Bye. Love Fest is over. Last poem, and then I can't wait to see who wins the slam. All the poems have been great so far. I know who I'm rooting for, but I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to sway the judges. But judges, don't fuck it up. I am what comes after the Civil War, after the dismembered corpses, the burnt sugarcane fields, the mango trees strung with a single hanging body, the man with his tongue in his pocket, the soldiers in the guerrilla, the exodus of my grandmother's children. I arrived after the fleeing, after the bruise was named a desert, after the new country extended its concrete arms with reproach, after living in garages, huddling in small apartments, after raising blonde children who do not know our language, after washing cars we do not drive, after keeping home for women with alabaster skin, after falling in love in the time of asylum, after the alcohol took to my father's veins, after the family murmured his sins, after my mother cut the long coil of her curls. I found my way here, and I stayed. A fist of a girl with eyes as big as a wailing mouth. I was born with a pen under my tongue. I know and own all words ever spoken. I am the dream and the nightmare. I am the burning bush. Moses, David, Goliath, Mary Magdalene, the Holy Virgin, God himself, dead and resurrected. I am not the survival. I came after. I am the victory, a boastful flag. I am not a promise. I am a threat. I am what takes and does not give back. A new history, a forked tongue, a priestess, church and communion, a woman with her own legacy. Take this, my story, eat it, and remember me. Thank you so much. I love you all so, so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yesika!
Stop it, I like it. Stop it, I like it.
So amazing. For those of you that have never seen her before, I told you. Aren't you glad you listened and came? Okay. Are we ready to get into round two? Woo! So, the poets in round two, only 5 poets go into round two. They're going to be going in this order. We're going to have Hector, Venus, Lorenz, Caleb, and Sandra. So before we go and kick that off, I want everybody to give a big round of applause for the poets not going into round two. Give it up for Big Lair. And give it up for Manny. As we go into round two, when I read off the scores for round two, I'm only going to be reading off your actual round two score. At the end of round 2, though, your final score that determines who wins what is going to be combined score from round 1 and 2, and I'll announce those at the very end of the evening. So since judges, like, you've had about 30 minutes just chilling out, I want to make sure your scoring skills are up to par. So we are going to shed some more blood. We got another sacrificial poet for you.
What?
Beautiful humans, put your hands together. Give it up for Tshaka Campbell!
Zoom just got hella sexy right now. Zoom just got, oh, look, you got a smoke.
Loving that background.
You got a smoky background. My
Bring
bad.
that
My friend.
Bring that smoke.
My friend.
I'm not ready for this.
Oh, I'm in the
That's
second
my
hand
friend.
just from the picture.
That's my friend.
Together.
If you didn't want people to know,
He was my friend first.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so not feeling that well today, but we're gonna do this. This is called Black Peacock for Corey. He was a piece of several, with 2 handfuls of God feeding the truth into whoever he presented to the world. Biscuit they called him, or rather, what would sky from off her tongue when asked too many questions, and many were asked because he was of many, not exclusive to what the all wanted to shrink him into, and as a being of everything, he couldn't be just what his body told him to be, because the soul whispers louder than the skin he folded into each day. Each night was left for her to pluck the stars from the dark to light her own path in any direction beyond them, and because of them, she'd wipe her lips with the same hate they later turned to thirst. Now, 15 years later, they hunger for her walk, a byproduct of fleeting himself in grace, a strut punching at the sky and pride sprawling about in Vogue in the only way she knew how. And now in Vogue, she is swallowing hashtags like acceptance came lined in these Dior A-lines. No one cared that before the seams were stitched, he was of stolen fathers and hugs that smelled like needles, from where nothing was defined, just owned, then taken. That his first step in red bottoms was the footprints made walking back a bloodied beating because he wasn't the one thing they said he must be. But today they say he's amazing. Must be the new aristocracy stitched into the lines of the Givenchy draping neck, or the vintage Versace coveting his arms. Today he is anything and everything. Today he is now flashbulbs and runways now, icon and gram setter now, a burning building running into a forest fire, and they will revel in their beauty. Today they will say how high the flames rise and how they are phoenix, and he will watch them from within the flame as they try to take his fire and call it their own creation, like a Madonna dream set ablaze. And he will never forget the yesterday that made him feel like he had to burn out the everything that was the only anything there always was. That's it.
Damn.
what?
Give it up for Tshaka.
Damn.
What?
All scores can be lowered in that poem right now.
I'm crazy.
Judges.
Legit.
I think Tshaka's the reason the skies were orange.
Yeah, 1 score, 2 score, 3.
Oh.
Waiting on 2 judges. 4.
I believe in you, judges. I believe in you. Come on.
I believe in
Smoking.
you.
Everyone's
Okay.
devices should be overheated.
We got a 9.4, a 9.2. We got a 9 and a 9
Boo.
and an 8.9.
Boo.
Them
So
scores
we're
are
gonna,
beyond.
we're gonna put them in the mixing bowl and mix them all together. And what do we got, Kevin?
27.2.
27.2. Clap for the poet, not the score.
That's a showing up score right there. That's just for showing up.
So on deck we have Venus, but coming to the stage, Give it up for Hector!
Hector!
Internalize homophobia as 5 stages of grief, a fractured erasure after Zach Goldberg. 1. Denial. I earthquake the radiance of my queer, deny its sun rays. I'd rather unbecome into a straight line, hide my spectrum from the cathedral of my uncle's homophobia. I push and erect a bell tower against my spine when my masculinity slouches. A man's erection is just a monolith, unable to replace my Eucharist too. Anger. I loathe my queer, its radiant moonlight. I cut my tongue into a heterosexual sunrise. I scream at God when his halos don't suffocate the queer out my throat. I pray violently for the last supper of my queer. I shove a bell tower into my spine each time I lust for Adam and not Eve. 3. Bargaining. I exchange my body with my straight star below the horizon. Body avoids dying. Supernovas of body reject grieving themselves into shattered stained glass. Less hetero joy than homophobia can gaslight. Bare-chested locker room boy becomes forbidden fruit. A haunting bane of my reflection. My star just implodes into itself. Limbs of broken mirrors with less galaxy than sacred. I become prayer. I survive by crucifying my body to please an unwritten Bible. God's dick dissolves in my hand. I'm a corpse buried under my ego, so I skin a preacher's tongue till God unwrites my name with less red ink than black holes. I'm gravitied with grief. More wrecked lantern than drunken prismatic sun rays. I'll phoenix myself for fucking ever if I have to soak in the sun for depression. My star below the horizon is dying. Supernovas grieving into shattered, stained, glassless hetero joy than homophobia. Bare-chested locker room boy becomes haunting of my reflection. My stardust implodes in broken mirrors, less galaxy than prayer. I survive by crucifying my body to please God. I'm living as a corpse buried under my skin. A preacher's tongue writes my name with less red ink than black hole. Grief, more wrecked than drunk prismatic sun rays. I'll phoenix myself for fucking ever if I have to. 5. Acceptance. My star, supernovas stained glass, less phobia of my reflection than broken mirrors, less crucifying my body to please God's corpse, buried under a preacher's tongue, less black hole grief, more prismatic sun. I phoenix myself for fucking ever. Thank you.
Give it up for Hector! Judges.
Phoenix myself.
Holy shiza.
The scores coming. We got a 9.7, a 9.4,
Yeah.
a 9, a 9.3, and a 8.
Oh.
You can't boo 9s.
Score
I was born in the 8.
What do we got, Kevin?
We have a 27.7.
27.7. Clap for the poet, not the score.
Hector zoink!
Keep that going. On deck, we have Lorenz, but coming to the stage, give it up for Venus!
Venus!
Woo!
Yeah, Venus!
Goddess in the house.
Take some love.
I'm your Venus. What's in a name, you ask? A roadmap and directions to something heavenly. My name taught me to love, like a supernatural force. Why Venus and not Vanessa? My mom said she liked the song. It's Venus in blue jeans. I am comfortable in denim. And being serenaded like with Frankie Avalon lyrics or bangles, but never Blanton. I'm comfortable with her. Quick response. Comfortable in my mother's genes. My mom could have given me any reason that day. Her answer is never the same. Why did you name me Venus? She's silent. Often, she changes the subject. She makes me wonder if she was once abducted by aliens, taken to the second planet from the sun. So many things are alien to her. She is estranged and strange, but not as distant as my biological father, who I don't know. What is my father's name? It's Nathaniel Bolton. To my dismay, that name isn't much to hold on to. When you're Black and brown in America, X or prison can mark the spot you're trying to bolt from. I wish I had pictures. That way, if I saw him on the bus, I'd know him. I would see his eyes searching for what he left behind, a daughter named after a living goddess. I'm full of grapes and cheese. When the brown-skinned man with a long rat tail smiles, his raised eyebrow magnetic, then my matching face makes him lean forward. We both nod in unison. Does he know my orbit? I could have asked, what's your name, sir? Did you know my mom before she went mental? When she first lost her mind and me? Did you know how? Did you know I was here waiting for you to show up before fame or fortune, to stake claim, to say, she is love, she is beauty, she is my Venus, the daughter of a zephyr. Oh my God, God of the west wind. The time has truly come.
Love, much love, Venus.
Get it.
Yes. Oh my God.
Give it up for Venus. Judges. Let me see pretty things. We see one pretty, two pretty, three pretty, four pretty scores. So we're kicking this off. We have a 9.7, a 9.2, an 8.8, a 9, and an 8.8. And we're gonna smash those all together in a big old waffle. And what do we got, Kevin?
After a time penalty.
Oh
no!
Folks,
What the
let's tell them how we feel.
Time isn't real.
Fuck the time penalty.
Time is a social construct.
Time
is what do we got?
Time is irrelevant.
After the time penalty, 26.0.
26.0. Clap for the poet, not the score.
Time needs to be a socially distant structure.
On deck, we have Caleb, but coming to the stage, give it up for Lorenz.
Lorenzo, do Max. Come on, do it. Max.
You are a buffoon, stalking these streets in the shadows, protecting simpletons who are too stupid, too weak to fend for themselves. Will they love you when I'm gone? Will they love you when there are no more bad guys? Will they love you when there's no more villains to chase, to fight, to kill? I like you, baddie. Take away the gadgets and gizmos, and what do you get? An angry man wanting to destroy things. Admit it. You love punching in faces. You love not giving a fuck who you piss off or even who you hurt, because in your mind, you are just. The only difference between you and I is you care for these people. I could give a shit about these idiots. Cities are disease, baddie. Cancerous concrete confinements, roads paved over forests, trees maliciously cut down for progress, they say. Skyscrapers built so high, they block the sun. How is a lady supposed to greet her lover when buildings are deterring the sun from reaching me? Who keeps me away from my lover's hands, whose rays warms my skin with a glorious touch? Who placed God building structures higher than trees, just so they can inflate their stupid egos, not caring if they are blocking my lover to get to me, punishing me to feel this longing? These bulbs, these fluorescent tubes are garbage. They are not my lover. They are imposters wishing they could be the sun. You are protecting idiots, baddie. They only care for themselves. They are clueless how filthy they live. They are selfish beings. They do not care how polluted the water gets. They don't care how toxic the air gets. They don't care how plants are dying because of their pathetic ways of living, contaminating the soil as if they are immune to being buried beneath it. How dare you try to reason why I should care? These people do not give a damn. So why should I care that they live? You are a mass puppet whose strings are being pulled by his love for these irresponsible beings. People are viruses, baddie. Why can't you just cut yourself loose and accept that I am right? Quit choking yourself with this noose around your neck whose other end is tied towards his love for people who do not even know you. I am handing your freedom, baddie. I do not need to unmask you to see you for who you are. A man who needs his anger to have purpose, or else you would just be like one of us. It is so bad to be one of the bad guys. Quit pretending your heart makes you a hero. It is dark, just like the rest of us.
Damn.
Give it up for Loretta.
Daniel.
Oh, buddy, you won, buddy.
Damn.
Judges.
I think I'm gonna retire now.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have an 8.8, an 8.5, an 8.8, a 9.1,
Come on,
and an
son,
8.4.
Oh, come on. 8.4. You better than that.
Judges are dozing off, apparently.
Yeah, they missed something
Give
good
him
there.
fives, man.
I like baddie.
Yeah, come on, Betty.
Kevin, what do we got?
After a time penalty.
What?
What?
The shit?
Oh my
Kevin,
God.
check your clock.
Oh,
Come on.
no.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
Fuck the time penalty.
Penalty.
Again.
Go ahead and fuck
What'd
it.
we get after the penalty?
24.1.
24.1. Clap for the poet, not the score. Okay. On deck, we have Sandra, But coming to the stage, give it up for Caleb!
Woo, Caleb!
Yeah. I'm so sick of spinning the same poem. The one where he dies, the one where he's tombstone, the one where I couldn't save him, the one where I wake up every morning with scratch marks on my pillow where I try to drag him back to this earth. So today, I will spit his poem in reverse. The crowd now walks back to their car. 2012 to 1979 is uncarved from his headstone. His father's threats are Mustang stampeding back inside of his mouth. Says, if I show up to Ronnie's funeral, I would be buried with his body. This wasn't really a threat. I wanted to be buried with his body. All they had was his body. Ronnie rises from the grave. 6 feet under, becomes 6 feet tall. He was alive, he is alive. The bullet unwraps from his temple. It re-enters the gun. The razor erases the marks on his wrist. He spits the pill back into the bottle. Touches me. He says that he loves me. He says that he will love me until the day that he dies. This isn't really fair. I always thought he meant for longer. Ronnie spent his whole life acting out in a script that he knew he would be cut from, where every day he fought a war just to exist, and everywhere was a battlefield, and loving me was his form of a revolution. His father, unasked who touched him, who made him gay. Homosexuals Anonymous, his third attempt, his second, his first. His father says there was love in his heart, but I say there was blood on his hands. Hometown, high school, bullied in class, avoid school, shoved in locker, never pushed off the bleachers, off the stairs, pushed too far. The word faggot unscrawled from his yearbook picture. The rock unhits his window. Fist jumps away from his jaw. Middle school, bruised face disappears. Told boys will be boys. It's not considered assault unless you're over 18. This is how he was learned that being called any part of a woman was the greatest of insult at 5. His father is not afraid to hug him. At 1, he puts the Barbie down. He is born. His parents peek through the hospital glass, count his fingers and his toes, and say all they ever want is for their son to be happy. And when they see his face, all they see is potential.
Oh.
Love you,
Thank you,
Caleb.
Caleb.
For Caleb.
Fuck yeah.
Got to do this 2 more times, judges. We got 1 judge, 2 judge, 3, 4, and 5. So we got a 9.4.
Yeah.
We got a 9.
Okay.
A 9.5.
Yes.
A 9.5.
Yes.
And a 9.6.
Woo-hoo.
Put it all together. What do you got?
28.4.
Bippity boppity boop.
28.4. Give it up for the poet, not the score. On deck, we got nothing on deck, but coming to the stage, give it up for Sandra!
Sandra! Sandracita!
Yes, Sandra.
Serpiente cascabel. La serpiente que vive por debajo del vientre. Energía sexual que hace carbones encendidas en este cuerpo. Célibe y carnal. Al despertarme cada día me amenaza con su sonajera de fuego. Vete, suéltame, basta ya de riego. Al amanecer de hoy, tocándome el coño, yo le mira. Te amo, mi alma. Hendrix vibrando a todo altavoz de mi cuerpo. El serpiente desarrolla y comienza a subir, pasando por el corazón. Santana samba para ti, acariciándome las tetas. Entraba a este poema por dedos de plumas y tinta de sangre. Respiro. Se me sale por la boca, expresando su piel viejo. Ya que me cure se llama en esta iglesia de palabras. Bailamos todos. Cascabel, Jimmy, Carlos, ustedes y yo. That's it.
Yay,
Yes,
Sandra.
Okay,
Vamos para
judges,
ti.
Okay,
this is
Spanish.
the last time you have to score tonight.
Well, hopefully they'll score after the show. I don't know.
Okay, we got. Okay. We got one judge. We got two. We got three. We got four. We done one more. Let's start reading these off. We got an 8.2.
Ooh.
We got an 8. We got an 8. We got an 8. And we got an 8.8. Put it all together. And what do we got?
Yates have it.
16 times.
24.2.
What is that?
24.2.
24.2.
Oh.
Clap for the poet, not the score.
Woo. Yeah.
We've made it to the end
Yeah.
of both rounds. How y'all feel?
Pretty good for an old lady. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so do we want to know who won?
No. We're not ready yet.
We
what
all
did they
winning.
get?
We all winning coming to the
They all
slam.
winning. They all
What
winning.
did
Yeah,
they
we
win?
won already.
All won.
One,
Because
one,
you
one,
did
one.
your
Yes.
thing, and we got to hear amazing poetry, and it was, all of you were amazing. It was an honor to like be here listening to y'all. What we are going to do, normally when we do this in person, I hand you some nice dirty money. I can't hand you dirty money. So in order, if you win prize money tonight, in order to get paid, please private message in the chat box, Bill Cazzini, and you're gonna get paid one of two ways. You could either give Bill your PayPal info, and Poetry Center San Jose will PayPal you tonight, or you can give Bill your government name and residential address, and Poetry Center San Jose will mail you a check. Like, sorry, this isn't like Walmart where we could do like Venmo, Cash App, Apple Pay, like however you want to pay. Y'all get paid the way we can pay you. Yeah, I definitely sound like somebody's mom right now. So in 5th place, not getting any money, but getting a piece of our heart, give it up for Sandra.
Sandra!
Sandra, do you want to say anything? No? Okay. In 4th place with a score of 49.9, not getting any money, but when COVID's over, getting like a big sandwich squishy hug from me and Mr. Excellent. Give it up for Lorenz.
Friends, I have a hug for you too, waiting.
Daddy, daddy.
Lorenz, do you want to say anything? Do you have like any merch or appearances you want to plug?
I am good, but yeah, yo, love y'all.
Gosh, I love that guy.
Daddy!
Coming in 3rd place with a final score of 52.1 and getting a whole $10. Give it up for Venus.
Venus!
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
$10. $10.
Venus, do you have any merchandise or shows or features or events you want to plug?
Yes, I want to say thank you so much for everything, and just, you know, you can follow me at my website. Please sign up for my mailing list and stay connected. I'm at venusjones.com, which is my name. I'll put it in the chat for you, and I'm also the host of Soulful Journey, open mic every Tuesday. So I'm gonna, if you sign up for my mailing list, you'll get more information. How about that?
Give it up for Venus.
Yay, Venus!
Coming in second place with a score of 54.1 and winning $15. Give it up for Caleb.
Yes.
I almost don't want to ask Caleb if he has anything he wants to plug, because he wants to plug a lot of things.
Yeah, he does.
And none of them are merchandise.
I plugged a whole lot of things this week. But anyway, hey, I'm just kidding. I just want to say thanks. I'm so glad. Like right when the second round started, my internet like restarted. And I was like, holy crap, I'm gonna miss some great poems. So I'm glad that I was able to get on and see everybody, and thank you all very much.
Dang. Okay, coming in first place with a final score of 55.1 and winning $25. Give it up for Hector!
Hector Gazoink!
Our Poetry Festival champion. I know you got stuff you want to announce. Hector, go for it.
Oh my god. Oh my god, thank you all so much. I'm from San Jose, east side, and it's like all just coming back full circle because I'm in Santa Cruz right now. I came here for school, but like quarantine. And I always wanted to go to like the poetry slams for San Jose, but like I wasn't 21. But like now I'm 21, but like the age doesn't really matter now. But like I'm here. Yeah, thank you all so much for having me. This is such an amazing space. All the poets killed it. Yesika Salgado was like such an amazing feature. Oh my god. And a little bit stuff I got going on with me. I'll put a link for like a bunch of stuff I have going on. Merch, well, no, not merch yet, but yeah, events, and like I have a short film from like a Canadian like film festival and like all that stuff. You can like pre-order merch, just like message me. I also have chat books, and I have a feature this Friday. I'm just doing the most. I also have an email list of yeah, thank you all so much. Definitely want to come back. Thank you all.
Okay, folks. I have a couple of acknowledgments. First off, can we all give it up for our 5 judges tonight? Because we can't have a slam with them.
Yeah.
Did a fabulous
Thank
job.
you.
I want
Thank you, judges.
everybody to give a big hand to Kevin Sparks, our scorekeeper and timekeeper, because we also
Scorekeeper with emotion.
without him.
Yay!
Yeah, and he's also one of my favorite poets. And
He's great.
Give it up to Poetry Center San Jose for not only putting on this week's and like it was so amazing, the Poetry Festival this week. Poetry Center San Jose, Rob Pesek, Bill Cazzini, Mighty Mike McGee, Joan Miller, Tshaka Campbell, Amy Meyer, Lisa Medley. Did I forget anybody on the board?
Brandon Liu, Tshaka Campbell.
I got Tshaka. I did not forget Tshaka. Brandon Liu, and there was also festival committee, Julia Canavesi. Who else was on the festival committee?
Julia Canavesi.
We just got Julia because poetry festivals don't put themselves together, and actually, like all the monthly programming that goes month to month with Poetry Center San Jose, some of y'all know, like the San Jose Poetry Slam itself has been around since before I even knew about Poetry Slam, since 1998. When I took over the slam, I was trying to do everything myself, and it just was not a happy place. And Poetry Center San Jose adopted us and was like, hey, come be part of the family. And we could not do this slam every month if it wasn't for them. I also want to give a big acknowledgement. We couldn't be there tonight because of COVID, but our home base, Caravan Lounge, you know, give our love. Like being shut down right now during COVID is like not easy, and I hope next year for the festival I could be coming live from there. Who else am I forget? Our amazing feature, Yesika. And thank you for telling my story. Like the tortilla story always makes me like feel special. Thank you to Mr. Excellent and Manny. They hold down our Instagram page. They help me with the Facebook page, Twitter, and we are Poetry Slam's second Sunday of every month. I can't say who the feature is yet because I'm still trying to convince them to feature. But we will announce it. And thank you for all the poets for coming and preaching your truth. Like, we couldn't have this without y'all. And
let's give it up for Scorpiana. Scorpiana, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Scorpiana!
And thank you for my two cats for behaving tonight and not having to be yelled at. And see you next month. God bless.
Good to
Thank
see
you for following
everyone.
me. Thank you for coming. Follow me on Instagram. Bye.
Thank you, Yesika. We love
Thanks,
you.
Jessica.
It was wonderful.
Bye. I love
Love the
everybody.
workshop.
Bye.
I don't want to say goodbye.
Lux, I love you. Bye.
Zoom, why is
Rob,
that?
Rob, do you want to close out the
Tshaka and
festival?
Lux, bye.
DJ Bob.
Rob.
Where is he?
Rob, did you post the link for the
He
survey? Oh.
Yes.
Did Rob leave?
No, Rob's still here.
Oh. I was like, we need to officially end this festival here, folks.
Yeah.
You've participated in the San Jose Poetry Festival. If you came to any of the workshops, if you came to any of the other events, including tonight, you are helping keep poetry alive in San Jose. And the beauty of this event is that we've had an opportunity to share this event outside of San Jose. We've been able to bring it to India, the Philippines, Chicago. People in Massachusetts have joined us. People in Toronto have joined us. People from all over have joined us. And we could not, that is not something we necessarily could have expected or planned for. We didn't realize that until as we were getting closer and closer to the festival. I'd like to turn it to Rob. I'm sure Rob has something he'd like to say about the festival as well.
So thank our featured guest for tonight, Yesika Salgado, all our workshop instructors, Carla, Janice, David, and also
Sabrina Benet.
And then want to thank also our funders out at the city, SV Creates, Poets and Writers. And I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. We'll be back together soon. We're going to find each other. I want to wish you all health, safety, and join us again for the San Jose Poetry Slam next month. All right, and we've got Andrew Jory's program. We've also got Well Read coming up. We've got Sejura coming out for Well Read in October. So love you all, and go easy out there, okay? Take care of yourselves.